It's actually sorry, guys, only 32 seconds. Do apologise for that. Well, hello everyone. Look at this.
Hello.
Hello.
You didn't give me long enough to share it. I'm still typing.
Well, I'm ever so sorry. I just
You
got that wrong. I'm just crap at this. I mean, you know, I've only been doing it how long? I have no idea what I'm doing. Well, that's a great start.
Gobby, I was there for your first ever time in charge of a live stream, and look how far you've come.
No.
Yeah, nowhere.
Not
Not very far at all. No. The shed's not even grown slightly bigger on the inside. You know,
No,
it's exactly the same. Yeah.
Oh, hi, John.
Hi, Sadako. Hi.
Yes, and John are here, and we have, as you can see, Starry-eyed girl, John the White, and Jack's back to annoy every other classic Who fan that's ever been created.
Oh, he better not try that with the invasion again tonight. Oh, that was savage last night. I don't know how I recovered from that dreadful blow he dealt me there.
He's like kicking a man when he's down. He's let's be honest.
You know, well, let's just see how sharp his claws are when it comes to deconstructing the Silurians. You know,
he'll tell you.
I'm feeling a pull back to the early 1970s today.
Absolutely.
And most importantly, I'm feeling colour.
Yes, we're in the
red,
colour.
white, and green all mingled together in all lots of attractive ways. Yes, and it looks like a man escaping from hospital into a wood. You know, that's the sort of vision of Doctor Who vibes which are going in front of me. But before we go into any of that, I just want to say hello, Starry.
Hello, John.
I don't get to be on many streams with you, Starry. It's just lovely. And I really appreciate you being here. And I'm going to say nice things about you because I know that you watched the whole of my interview with Dan and were very nice about it and in your tweet about it too. So I want to thank you for having the fortitude to sit through that because I know it's quite a tough bid. But also thank you even more for seeing the warmth and the humour and the light beneath the gloom of the darkness and the so I mean I just respect that so much. So thank you so much for what you put today and for checking that video out. Well, of course, it's my wish for everyone to check that video out who wants to know what happened,
Yeah, crack on.
And that will be a lot of people that I never get to meet. So that's the way that life is. So that video is just really important to me, but it reached out to you and it touched you and then it worked for you.
It did. Well,
it's a great deal to me.
It's a personal story with two people, two friends. I mean, sadly, I've not known you as much as Dan, but we got there in the end. And how can you not be, not feel anything else going through?
You're wonderful and you're quite human. How we should feel, isn't it? We should feel for each other. We should care about each other. Of course, it is. It's how we should be. So, it's just that it matters so much to me, that bid. Now, Gobby, there's also something else I've got to do because I forgot to do it. I forgot to do it completely yesterday when I actually meant to. And this is important. I want people to start to talk about it. You see, yes, I am dying. And that means that in the fullness of time, there will be a funeral and a goodbye and a great sadness and much bad poetry. But more importantly, there's going to be a party, because I'm not having one of these old stuffy old black suit and tie jobs. And I'm actually having a sort of remembrance party. And I'm opening up to friends from the online world as well as to my family. So what's going to happen is this event will be on 2 Sundays after I pass away. So in order to secure a place, you need to be willing to commit to come to an event in Worcestershire with 2 weeks' notice at some point this year. Because, of course, it's very hard to plan these things precisely. But what I can tell you is that there's already some really interesting friends from the internet side of my life who absolutely already confirmed that they'll be coming. and there is a limit to 20 spaces because I don't want online side to overbalance family side, you know.
Yeah.
But if
cool.
you're interested, if you would like to come to my remembrance, if you'd like to come and mingle with my family, and you know, maybe tell them a mad story or two about me and hear a mad story or two in return, and would like to be at my remembrance party, there are actually spaces available. You know, because I want it to be opened up to, you know, to people who've known me in other ways, and perhaps people who've known me for years but have never actually had a chance to physically meet me, mostly because of geography or something, you know. But there's just so many possibilities. So if you're interested, we'll mention it again. Yeah, get me
down,
DM. Yeah, well, I wasn't going to give the guest list away. Because if everyone knows all the absolutely funky people who are coming, they'll start coming to the funky people.
I've said that.
You've got to think this through, Gobby.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I mean, your fame is such a gravitational pull. You know, if you know that you're going, it will distort the balance of the whole event. You know, it'd be a fan club, and
is there such a thing?
Well, possibly. Anyway, you do know what I mean. Gobby.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what I'm saying. Would you be interested in coming, Starry? Would like to come to my after party, so to speak?
Oh, I've got hair in my mouth. Yeah. That's the. Are you sure you want this kind of level?
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's yes, provisionally. It's just the 2 weeks notice, but because obviously I've got kids.
No, but that is the thing, because there has to be some kind of practical restriction to make the whole thing go. But that's how it's going to work.
I will do my best because I don't want to let anybody down, especially not you.
Oh,
I don't want you coming back haunting me.
No, that's.
Oh no, I don't want to waste my time coming back here haunting anyway. Far more interesting universal vistas to experience than hanging around a corner feeling sinister, isn't there? I mean, I don't get this haunting thing. It doesn't appeal to me. Some people actually say, "Oh, I'm going to come back and haunt you. Oh, I'm going to come back and get you." I don't feel like that about people.
You can't say that in any case, can you? Let's be honest, because you don't know.
That's true. That's true.
You don't know. You could,
maybe I'm going to have to come back and haunt you. Yeah, that's true. I mean,
you're making a false promise.
No hard and fast rules on these things. You're absolutely right. But what would the doctor do? You know, if he came across a supernatural, he'd come across a device to prove it was all force field, wouldn't he?
Of course.
You know, he'd never buy into it. You know.
No.
Don't have a Doctor Who of a curious ghost.
There should be.
What was the earliest Doctor Who ghost story? Was it?
Oh, there's a question.
I mean, because there's bits of ghostiness, isn't there? I mean, what about the chase with the haunted house stuff?
They were all animatronics, though.
Yes, it's true.
That doesn't mean they weren't scary.
Are
you saying they only put real ghosts on television?
Yeah, well, that's how it is nowadays.
I mean, weren't they animatronics in the show? Because it was like
I think they were. That was the twist. You were supposed to think, oh my god, what the hell's Dracula doing, battering the hell out of this Dalek? At least for a couple of minutes, at least it was supposed to fool you. But the twist was it was an animatronics haunted house.
So bad.
Yeah.
And he's off already. So bad.
So bad. Yeah. The animatronics quality in 1960.
I just realised that
it didn't match up to modern standards, you know.
No,
the chase just
Lost
Five Nights at Freddy's was basically based on the chase. Then that's pretty cool.
Weren't we talking about things that influenced Doctor Who, Gobby? Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's. There you go. Put that down on the list.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
I can just imagine the TARDIS landing and bloody Chica jump scaring the Doctor.
Stop both his hearts, that would.
Oh, yeah.
Stop mine when I played it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I don't know. Well, any
was
case,
was the first supernatural story the demons?
I'm just having a really good think through, and I think you might be right there,
yeah,
Jack.
I think you might.
Yeah, the first story that really played it fast and loose with the other side of the supernatural is the demon.
I'd say
The chase
demons.
is totally worth it for the final episode. I adore the Mechanoid City. And hold on, this might sound hard to believe, but who saw that really badly animated BBC produced for Daleks 5-part story last year?
Oh no,
The animation was awful, but it was like 5-10 minute parts, and it had a really good plot involving the mechanoids and the Daleks going to war with one another again. So I've got a lot of fondness for the mechanoids. They had more potential than a lot of other proto Dalek things they tried to replace them with, But it's just it also though it shows how. Even the creators were struggling to understand their own creation, because you can't just make Dalek Mark II.
No,
you just can't. You just can't.
No.
I tried it so many times. The Mechanoids is one example, and the Quarks is another. And when the price of chipboard had gone up, we had to work smaller. Mechanoids is huge compared to a Quark, partly when Quarks were never going to cut it. I agree with Sadako. Every Doctor Who story is worth it. A lot of Doctor Who stories are worth it for their first episode or their last episode, especially. I'll give you another example: the invasion of the dinosaurs.
Oh yeah.
As opposed to the other invasion, but Jack probably won't like that one either. But the other invasion,
I like Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
The really bad dinosaur special effects, even for 1974, bad.
They were
it really were. If you see what Ray Harrison was doing, and BBC churning that out, like spastic Tyrannosaurus. It's not scary. But the ideas are marvelous. I remember the Hanger. I all that stuff with Sarah and the Hanger. That was good stuff in it. But once again, a bunch of absolute numpties being taken off to a promised land. And I struggle once again to see it as anything else but a criminal squandering of resources. Because why would you want those idiots in our artificial spaceship to be running your new future world?
That's true.
It's the way I see it is it was predicting the kind of environmentalist nut jobs we'd have today.
Extremely successfully, because Barry Letts was one. All these flirts.
Well, I was quite surprised, that he made them the villains.
Yeah, because now they wouldn't; they'd be the heroes.
Sometimes you've got to think if we've done that before, and they've got to try and find a new way to do it. So as arse backwards as it sounds, making environmentalists the villains at least means you get to talk about their environmentalism.
Has anyone here seen
a new world, a clean world, a golden age, all that stuff? Worked on Mike Yates. Might persuade you round, Jack.
Has anyone seen Primeval here?
Long time ago.
Long time ago,
yeah.
I'm sure that was inspired by Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Oh, absolutely.
It was.
Yeah. That's another one for the list.
Another TV series that wouldn't have existed without Doctor Who.
Primeval had
a good go, didn't it? It had a good go.
Because it was aimed to be a competitor, wasn't it?
Absolutely, it was.
Yeah, it was.
It was the second best that got seen on catch up for me, but I did watch it because it was making an effort. But it did get the storyline just got all over the place near the end. But it had a good third couple of seasons with good, solid sort of setup action piece kind of stories. It had a good start. I think
it was fun. I mean, obviously Doctor Who came first, but I would record it.
The dinosaurs were much better. I mean, is that the point, Jack, that the dinosaurs were much better, or what is it about Primeval? But
I mean, I was just saying that there's quite a few similarities with the storyline, like dinosaurs come through a portal, and
absolutely.
Absolutely, mate.
But yeah, Invasion of the Dinosaurs Part 1 is one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who. And by which I mean episodes, not stories, but an individual episode. Because it's so beautifully shot. It sets the whole thing up. And, you know, they didn't put the of the dinosaurs bit on Part 1. So the public was, you know, going into the mystery blind. And then I like all that stuff with jeeps festooned with gold and silver and fur coats, you know, and the Doctor being arrested as a sort of looting version of Arthur Daly, you know. It's really quite cool, you know. And get more classic escapology stuff with John and Elizabeth instead of John and Katie by then. Yes, good stuff. Yes, John Pertwee. What does John Pertwee mean to you as a Doctor, Starry?
Yeah, I love him.
Love him.
I do love him because he's just so dashing, and he's everything I want. He's heroic, and swishing his cape, but he's got that wit and he's got that intelligence, and a little bit of arrogance. You know, he knows he's clever and he reminds everyone. And and I love his banter with all the companions, with Liz, with Jo, with Sarah.
There's so many components to him, aren't there?
The Brigadier, they were always, he was always at war with the Brigadier, you know, the military side versus the diplomacy.
Well, yes, he was, but then also he's always in the thick of it with them. He's such
know,
a contradiction.
They're criticising, and then he's
he fits in with the poshest part of society, yet he's the most anti-establishment person you could ever meet. He's totally against warfare, but he hangs out with soldiers all day long, you know. And for that matter, he can be very enlightened and then say some things which are really quite ignorant, like go make me a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, make me a cup of
then
coffee.
again,
it's the times, yes,
it's the times.
And also because I'm relatively clever, I understand that you have to inject sexism in order to have an anti-sexist message.
Exactly.
So somebody had to say something sexist for Jo Grant or Sarah Jane especially to react against it. But at the same time, and in the best word in the world, when you read the commentaries from the Pertwee era, we can't say that the production team was going all out on an anti-sexist mission.
No,
you know, but certainly, you know, pro women, pro feminism was actually strongly in Pertwee Who. You know, and it had been in Troughton Who before, but it was really strongly in Pertwee Who. It was really starting to, because civil society was really starting to change. So very exciting times. But I've got to put a proposition. I want Gobby to weigh in on this too.
Oh shit.
Is Classic Who season 7 the most perfect season of Classic Who?
Oh God! Now you're asking. You like doing this, don't you?
I know. It's ramping the program up.
Yeah, it is ramping the program up.
I haven't got time for short. I'm going full volt.
So okay.
I've got time for softly. Let's get in there.
I like Series 7. I enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. It's brilliant. Is it the best ever? Oh.
That's what you have a whole point is to ask that question in a contentious way. But then, could you think of a better number than 7?
8.
That's the question, isn't it? What is it? 8 is a better number than 7.
8's always better than 7.
No, but I mean, do you
no, I'll be honest. I liked Series 7 before 8. 7 was very good. It had some great episodes.
What do you say down there, Jack? Because you said something a moment ago there. What do you make of Series 7?
It's one of the best in the show.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Sadly, it would have been the best had it not been for Ambassadors of Death. Or as I like to call it, Ambassadors of Extremely Rushed Ending.
That is my Gobby.
And we're off.
Yes, Jerry, joking aside, I used to struggle a bit with Ambassadors of Death. I do agree, but I kind of got the vibe of it now, and the directing really draws me in. And I do love the Brigadier in the warehouse blasting away. His revolver is just goddamn iconic. Bang, 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 bang. Give me more of that Hollister action.
You don't like.
I like that.
The bit you don't.
The bit you hate.
I'm gonna have to agree with John, not you, John. The other John in the chat.
The other John.
This John.
I prefer season 8 for that reason.
That's fine.
Yeah, don't worry, John. We might get to season 8 after season 7.
We might. You never know.
Right,
when I think of Pertwee, automatically I think Delgado.
You think?
Well, yeah.
Of course, none of that happens in season 7.
No,
because it's a very different tone. I mean, it sits apart from every other season.
But I do like his partnership with Liz, because Liz was something so different, especially from me coming from Classic Who, from New Who, was the companion was equal.
It's a huge change, wasn't it? A deliberate change. Yeah, I agree. Or at least they had a go. They had a go. And I mean, talking about ambassadors of death, as it happened, Caroline John, even to this day, she basically describes her ambassadors of death outfit as obscene. And if you're actually looking for it, then I can only say, my God, she's right. I mean, quite surprising how funky Liz ended up dressed, actually, because she was definitely dressed down in Spearhead from Space. But I mean, Spearhead from Space, it is a perfect 4-parter. There aren't many Doctor Who's written with anything like so satisfying a 4-part story structure as Spearhead from Space. The whole thing looks gorgeous from being shot on film. It looks $1 million compared to anything that went before, and it's probably one of the more expensive stories to shoot in the season. Actually,
it looks movie quality.
It looks fantastic, doesn't it? And then the Autons were just a triumphant idea right from the beginning. Even the Doctor dragging a tentacle around his neck at the end to make the fight go. It's just a perfect Doctor Who story. If you wanted to show somebody a story to say, hey, do you think you might like this program? Spearhead from Space to this day must remain a strong contender for a great opener to introduce somebody to the show. It really must.
Yeah.
What do you have you got anything to say about Spearhead, Starry? What does it mean to you?
It was one of the first I ever watched. Because what I did when I first watched Doctor Who in 2005, after Rose, I wanted to know more about the Autons. So I tracked down and I watched the Autons. So I watched Terror of the Autons, Spearhead from Space, and the 70s Autons still look absolutely terrifying.
Well, they do what they're meant to do, and Mr. Blank-faced scary guy with a 90-degree helmet. Yeah.
It's very dark for all the comedy with Pertwee in the wheelchair and messing about, and it's just there's something about Winterhill that is so dark and adventurous.
That's going on all the time throughout all the episodes, isn't it? But there's a little sort of artificial heartbeat built into that. Mm-hmm. It's very clever.
I love the noise of the guns, like the
the noise.
Absolutely, fantastic story. And then it was followed by a story I struggled to stop watching.
Silurians.
Oh yeah.
Without a doubt, Matt Holt's best script for the show.
Yeah.
I love the Silurians.
I mean, I'm just thinking, is Frontier in Space better? No, Silurians is better. Silurians is his best script for the show. I've got to stick a flag in that opinion and stick it there and see if it will hold.
I struggle to watch it because of COVID. I think the Silurians released COVID.
Well, this is it. I mean, talk about dark. Way darker than Spearhead from Space. With Silurians, we're talking about full-on actual germ warfare not just being threatened, but actually unleashed upon the human race. And the Doctor desperately messing about with test tubes, trying to work out how to stop it. So I mean, the threats, they're the horror story. And of course, the Silurians could be seen as something horrifying concept, but of course, Mac was Mac, and he was trying to humanize the inhuman, and I think that came through really strong. The sense of the credibility of the Silurian civilization. Much stronger realised in the Silurians than later in the Sea Devils, where it was all kind of thrown in at the end, in amongst all the sinking submarines and klaxons.
Yes,
but we got to kind of explore the Silurian base from a point of view of it starting out very mysterious, and the strange sort of noises that were being used, and then you find this big old stone globe of the world where everything's all one big continent, and you go, aha, a clue. So the build up is wonderful. Yeah, and then of course it's got the other 1970s staple, which is a giant big science fiction science set, with the cyclotron, which we don't quite necessarily have effective drama with it, because it's like an early foil, isn't it? Oh my god, the cyclotron's overcycling. Oh no, we must go down into the caves and find out what caused the overcycling of the cyclotron. So it's working it, isn't it, early in the script? But I love sets like that. They're just so wow. We just speak to the era so much, and the Silurians has got a particularly fine one. I've just throw it around again. Silurians. How do you feel, Starry? I mean, what does that story mean to you?
They were a heck of a shock after I'd seen the Hungry Earth and Cold Blood.
Well,
very different.
Right.
Yeah, very different.
Humanoid. Brilliant design. Again, them, the 70s monsters. They're just,
Do you feel were they more effective being more alien? Or more,
yeah.
They were more removed from us, weren't they? With the cold earth, hungry version of the Silurians, they're far too personable, aren't they? With the human face.
Agreed.
And the much more distorted reptile face of the 70s Silurians. I think that's part of what makes it so poignant, is because they're not nice to look at. You're not going to want to put one on the wall. You're probably not going to want to snog one. So you can't take them back to your mother. Yes, I did say that, Gobby. Yes, you weren't joking.
No, I was just...
You could disagree if you like, but I'm just working on certainties here. But you're probably not going to.
I may or may not in my youth.
But you can't say that about Madam Bastard. She's getting dates just for the length of her tongue. So I mean.
Well,
things did get very modern very quickly for the Silurians once they started waking up. No, it's just a wonderful story.
Yeah,
it's just and from when I first saw it on the shelf as Doctor Who and the Cave Monsters, not at the Target book, and it's such a great read. It's one of the best written of the early Target books. It is. It's a great unfolding plot. You're absolutely right, Sadako. And it really does go for it. It puts the whole of humanity in real jeopardy.
It moves really fast as well,
doesn't it? All the stories in season 7 do. In my view, they don't. None of them drag. No, but none of them drag. Ambassador 7, Death is often at part 5 before I realise it.
Yeah, it
does. And then the whole thing just gets topped off and set on fire and roasted with Inferno.
Yep.
It's another good one. Yeah,
it is a good one. It is a good one.
I think Inferno is one of the few Doctor Who stories that gets serious science fiction respect from non-Doctor Who fans.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's noticed that, but outside of Doctor Who circles, individual Doctor Who stories aren't talked about much as examples of TV or television because that tends to get sucked in. But for fans of hard sci-fi TV shows, Inferno is on their list because it is a beautifully made example of an alternate Earth story.
It's awesome, absolutely brilliant.
It does it all right. Including using the alternate shift to actually give drama to the story, because after all they've been through at part 7, it's still uncertain if this isn't all just going to blow up and happen all over again.
Yeah.
Let me have to see what Colin's saying there. The origin of Silurian is an excellent example of how real-world science changes. At the time the moon was being drawn to Earth's orbit, had not been overtaken my study of moon rocks, etc. Yeah, it was actually bringing in science of theories of when the moon first turned up and stuff. And yeah, it is terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
It didn't flinch from Doomsday, and you can't say that about me. Most Doctor Who's will tease you, but it won't take you over the line like the Silurians did. Sorry, Starry.
Are you okay? I'm enjoying what you're saying.
Yeah,
the time when it was made as well, this alternate universe, it wasn't this tired out trope that it is now, because not everybody's got a alternate universe or a multiverse. But at the time, I think there was just this and Star Trek, and again,
it was a very new concept. Yeah,
it was
just amazing story and performances. I mean, the Brigadier as well.
Good old Brigadier.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't just Nick Courtney. Caroline John was also relishing the part of the evil Liz with her evil boots, wasn't she? She really was enjoying that. You can tell. And it's a great moral story. It's a story of what happens when you mess with Pandora's box. It's a story that then gets to show you 1 minute past midnight. Yeah, in the finest apocalyptic tradition, it pulls it all, but manages to pull it all back, and ends up with a cup of TARDIS laboratory bunker tea, Bunsen burner tea, all good. Even Bessie came back, bless her. But I also think it's unique amongst Doctor Who stories in having been shown to give the Doctor serious trauma. Yeah, because his nightmare about the flame in Inferno, he brought up several other times over Pertwee's run. Didn't it come up when the Daleks torture him in Day of the Daleks?
No, it was the Mind of Evil when it's putting him on fire.
Mind of Evil absolutely has him on the floor with it. Didn't it come up in Planet of the Spiders as well?
I haven't gotten to there in my marathon yet, so I'm not sure.
I know it's in there somewhere. I'm going to forgive my brain because it's going a bit fuzzy around the edges. But I say fuzzy, it's going soft. Soft, you can put your finger through it, but it's still working. Just it's getting soft at the edges. So I can't even think, but I do know that it was a story that had consequences for the Doctor's character. There aren't many of those, and they're always important when they do. I'd say Earthshot was a story that had ramifications for the Doctor's character.
It certainly did.
Yeah, and then even worse was the Two Doctors, because when that went out, the show got cancelled, and then the Doctor got neutered after that. So that had serious ramifications for the Doctor's character. But for completely different reasons for story-driven character development. That's for sure. Because it was during the Two Doctors that the terrible announcement went out. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think the flames of Inferno come up in the Morbius duel, Colin. But I could be wrong.
I can't remember.
I watched Morbius just last night, actually. I've got past the trauma. I can watch it again now without having flashbacks to a timeless show. We don't even say the words. No, positive
Oh,
stream.
no.
Not positive stream. Not even saying the words. Yeah.
No.
We won't get sucked into the traps of the brain of Morbius.
No,
thank you.
No.
Series 7 was just a marvelous, unique time in the show's life, where it gave us stories with greater length, but where also all 3 stories really justified it. None of them are padding stories. They all move along at a great pace. A much better pace for some of the 6-parters, which will follow later.
Yeah.
But really, it's the last time that a series of Doctor Who wasn't made up mostly of 4-parters. Because from here we'd get maybe 1 or 2 6-parters a year, mostly, and then the show was 4 parts at an episode. So Spearhead really did set the shape of the show's future. I'm a bit worried about what's happening to Dean here. Is he having one of those weird COVID reactions where they look up and then collapse?
Just here's my CCTV camera system.
Okay.
And I've just had the privilege of watching a drug deal. That was quite exciting. So I'm sorry about that. I should be forwarding that to the police.
Nice.
It'll be live on YouTube. I'll ask you nothing else about it.
No.
Before we go any further, it's nothing to do with me. Not me.
Not me, mate. Not me, mate.
No. Sorry about that. It just caught my eye.
But just as Spearhead was such an important story, so was Terror of the Autons.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's a great story
because it ramped up the action like we'd never seen before. I think. One thing about Terror of the Autons, it puts your heart on your chest, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
And of course, it upset all the right people with the tearing the faces off policemen.
Yes.
And putting the idea into the poor little darlings that a policeman might not be trusted was just too much.
Yeah. And that doll, whoever thinks kids would like a doll like that are absolutely
No.
I think maybe it was the master giving his hypnotism an extra twist. Can I really hypnotise these stupid monkeys to actually like this? Maybe that was it, because it was hell ugly, wasn't it? You're never going to give that thing a cuddle. Even hardened Satanists might consider only its mother could love it. It really was.
It was awful. Oh, it was horrible.
Oh. But you're right, Matt Pounder. Robert Holmes had the fright factor. And to think, only a couple of years before it had been the Crotons, and now look where he was. Writing main Saturday tea time action sequences with exciting punch-ups of cops and cliffs and quarries.
This one again was like a movie in itself. Again, like you say, with the cops and the explosions, and Pertwee's just going, he's in his element.
But one thing I would have to say against Terror is that the show really did bite off beyond its ambitions with the final fight. Where we got this kind of shimmery white outline would kind of vaguely look like maybe fingers or tentacles underneath it, just like there for 30 seconds. Whereas in the novel, it's really quite Lovecraftian, like this entity unfolding itself through a portal with great big tentacles and claws, so you could just get on your knees right now and chant "I shove nuclear up a black go to the woods of 1,000 young." It was so Lovecraftian. So young me, I think, when I first got my hands on Terror of the Autons on VHS, was a bit disappointed. I was hoping that the ending would be a little bit more, but it's still a great story, and it's a wonderful piece of the show's history. And I also think it's one of the best Target covers, because in the early days, the Target covers started doing these wraparound covers that would go around the spine and around the back as well, and Terror of the Autons has got one of those, and it's a fabulous piece of pot art. So I really like that. And where are we now? Season 8. I've got to think about the running order. So next up was Mind of Evil, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mind of Evil.
Yes, which Mind of Evil is to Series 7 as Meglos is to Series 17. You know, they were both very clearly developed for the tone of the previous season. Because, you know, I don't think Doctor Who hits that level of grittiness again after Mind of Evil, but being set in a grimness of a prison, I think especially helps its oppressive tone.
Yeah.
You know, and that feeling that it's not just evil, it's madness that's being flirted with, you know, or criminality at least. So it's kind of it kind of puts you on your edge down your back, doesn't it? And I do love all the psycho conditioning stuff and the giant Chinese dragon with the breath pouring out of its nostrils. I mean, it's really effective for the cliffhanger for part 2. It's a god damn it, it's another funking great story, and John Pertwee is just fantastic in this story.
My favorite bit's when he's talking Chinese and the Brigadier can't understand what they're saying when they're obviously taking the mick out of him.
Oh, and it's all like, yes, I've just chucked this uncultured Western barbarian out and we can have a civilized conversation. Oh, polite one, you know. I mean,
polite one.
Yeah, and at the same time, you know, slightly subtle pro-Maoist propaganda, perhaps, but you know, it was great. It was
clever,
a wonderful story, and it definitely makes my rewatch list so quite often. So you know, it's a special show. Is it Colony next?
No, it's
Colony in Space.
Claws of Axos.
Claws of Axos. Oh, yeah. Bob. Yeah. I think I've said about Bob Baker and what's his writing partner? Bob and
Dave Barton.
Thank you. Dave Dave Martin. Yeah, Bob.
See, I'm young, but I know a lot.
They never wrote. You know. I've forgotten more than I ever knew, even at your age. I thought that's very true. I'm absolutely sure that's true. I thought that every story they did, they never let the show get away with having a lack of ambition. And you know, Claws of Axos, for whatever its ups and downs might be, looking at it, you know, 40 plus years, oh God, 50 years later, you know, it's a marvelous mess, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a marvelous mess.
I have a lot of fondness for Claws of Axos. I love the psychedelicness of it.
Yeah.
You know, beware of it. Yeah, the government are just like, stop being so stupid.
I just love it when her and Joe, the Doctor and Joe, are inside the ship, and the Doctor just gives Joe a blunt, and then she starts psychedelicing, going crazy, and everything. And she's absolutely brilliant.
That's definitely one way of putting it. Yeah, but I also think Axos. Axos took risks that hadn't been taken with the Doctor before, because Axos actually took him right back to that early Hartnell untrustworthiness. You know, because especially in part 4, you weren't sure, was he really going to sell the human race out? You know, but then in doing so, it also then taught you a great deal about the Doctor's character too.
Yes.
You know, because you know, really, he exploited the Master. He exploited the Master's desire for the Doctor to be more like him, really, and showed him what he thought he wanted. He thought he'd taken Doctor to the point where, you know, Earth's screwed, it's too late, he's got to go, he's pissed off about it, but maybe now he'll have to admit the Master's got a point. That's the Master kind of thought that's where the Doctor was at. So, you know, to push the character either way, going, time loop, bitches, I was really ballsy, and I thought was just fine. A fine story device, you know, so lots of respect to Claws of Axos for that.
Did you see this nice comment from File 13?
Let's be honest, Dan, why you guys across the pond love The Who. His passion for the series speaks volumes, makes me excited to visit his world again. Oh,
There you go, mate. You've done that.
I'm totally honoured. I'm so glad you're enjoying
Yes.
being passionate about these stories. But they just all mean so much.
Yes.
I feel like I could just do a 2-hour live stream just about a single episode of some of these and just praise every camera angle. And but of course I'm not going to do that because that really would be very, very, very anarchy indeed, and we can't go back to the 80s. But I still just cannot get over enough just how rich this theme of science fiction fantasy TV is. That was served up to us. Just how lucky we were.
Yeah, we were very lucky, really.
How lucky we were that we got this. It's just brilliant stuff. And then it was down the quarry pit next, wasn't it?
Down the quarry pit.
Like the wheels of the space wagon go round and round very slowly.
Colony in Cornwall.
Oh,
Colony
God.
Cornwall, yeah.
Where would Doctor Who be without a quarry?
Doctor Who nowhere without a quarry.
Outside Troy. Oh dear. It was that. I do know.
Just like
that was one of the most unpleasant shows ever undergone. It made us look as freezing as they really are when you look at the footage.
No acting required, though.
No acting required at all.
But you've got a good robot. You've got duplicitous people in spaceships. You've got the Master. You've got the classic alien city with a fallen civilization in there. You've got the ultimate doomsday weapon. It is a great mix of some holding Series 8 together in the middle, isn't it? So just a great romp. I don't know. I couldn't give it 5 stars.
No,
I couldn't give it 5 stars.
Lie. When the Master showed up, I just eye rolled and said, "That was a surprise. I didn't see that coming."
So young and yet so cynical.
I don't mind it though, because
the fourth time that series, no one's getting surprised when the Master continues to turn up in these stories now. And the next one on was, of course, probably the best of the season. The Demons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We mentioned it in this broadcast already. Doctor Who meets the devil.
Exactly.
And done in such a way, it really wasn't clear whether it was science or magic that would win the day. And the Doctor clearly struggling with being outmatched by a hideously powerful opponent.
Yeah.
I think the Demons is just a fantastic end to Series 8.
Yeah,
I love how serious, because it was played to be serious. Everybody's taking it so, and it could have gone so wrong had they not done that.
Absolutely. Chap with wings, 5 rounds rapid. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Chap with the wings,
iconic.
Rapid.
The chap in the tights, 5 round rapid.
Would you want to get taken out in one puff by a man in tights? You got to think carefully here, Jack. To analyse the strategic situation, you wouldn't rush in for a death like that, would you, Gobby?
If he ran towards me, I'd just kick him over. What would you do?
Just give it a push.
Yeah.
Go away.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. This story could have been better.
The element of surprise would actually get me, because I'd be kind of like, what's he wearing?
Is he? Hold on a minute. Is he in tights?
Yeah.
It looks like something from a 6th form play. It's just
it does look like a 6th form play.
Spandex was hot in the Gargoyle community.
Although Azal looks amazing, so they clearly spent all the budget on him.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Clearly spent it all on him.
Azal's voice was
I just realised he's the guy who plays Omega. How did I not realise that?
He's also the guy who plays
Well, there you go. There you go. You've learned something new today.
So he got the Omega job because he got the Azal job, and they're both really over the top.
He's got such an amazing voice.
Absolutely wonderful.
Stunning voice.
Creates entire vistas with his vowels. Wonderful voice. Wonderful.
The only one who could compare to is probably Gabriel Wolf.
Oh yeah, the Beast and Sutek.
Yeah.
It just gives me shivers just thinking about. Yeah.
Insult me again, and I shall thread your nervous system into 1,000,000 fibers. Is that understood?
It's just such a
Well,
lie.
thanks for that. Flashback.
I'm just quoting Sutek, the
I
almighty.
know you are. I know.
We all know who you're quoting. You're giving us
God.
the
Yeah, you're quite good, mate.
Very impressed, Jim.
There's no sofa to hide behind in here.
Is it?
Barely get there in here, let alone sofa.
So, but no, the Demon's just a wonderful finish to series.
It is.
Just did the whole thing a warm, guzzy glow. You see, I started off with praising Series 7, and I love Season 7 so much, but Series 8 is the better Pertwee season.
Yeah,
because it better encapsulates the whole vibe of his Doctor and his Hera, and maybe that's slightly better done with Joe Grant than it is with Liz Shaw.
I think the Master had a lot to do with it, because he gave us a different lens for the to see the Doctor.
It's just Roger God is just incredible. You kind of think a lot of actors maybe would end up overstepping it, overplaying it, but Delgado just keeps himself fascinating, and while doesn't hold back on the fun one little bit. He was such a lovely man. I mean, that's what really comes through to me with his performance, which was an absolutely lovely man he was. So the world lost out when he had that awful car accident.
And you could tell, the friendship between them.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. That's why I didn't want to carry on, wasn't it? Because after Roger, it's just not going to work. It's not the same.
But then the next Pertwee story is also very special to me because it's at this point that I arrived. I must have mentioned this somewhere over time, but recently I'm sure I have. But I was born during the transmission of Day of the Daleks. So I am a Day of the Daleks baby.
One of my favourite
Daleks, isn't it?
Yeah. if you want to claim to fame, be a Day of the Daleks baby. Well, I mean, we last saw the boys from Skaro during Evil of the Daleks. And,
we did indeed.
We thought that was it, but this was a brilliant way for them to come back. Again in control, but in very few numbers, and turning mankind against himself in order to enslave him. All the classic Dalek stuff was there, but also with a really great time travel story.
Yeah.
One of the better time travel plots. As I understand it, the time travel plot was written first, and then it became a Dalek story in the development. So the Daleks came into that script later, because it's the time travel story was trying to stop a future war.
Yeah.
But by paradoxically causing the future war. That concept is the heart of the whole thing, and it's just beautifully worked out, and it's an epic. Can't watch it enough. What do we prefer? Do we prefer the DVD special edition Day of the Daleks with the extra Daleks and the more modern voices and stuff, or do we like it, as it was intended back in 1972?
The special edition, hands down.
See, I like the as intended. So
really, you can listen to their god awful voices. Hello, can somebody please get me a cappuccino?
I'm really torn, because I'm a big thing. That was originally how it's meant to be, so that you shouldn't tamper with it. But it is grating, I will admit. The special edition is what I watched first.
Yes.
Obviously, I was more familiar with that, but obviously, you have to at least watch it at least once, the way it was meant to be, the original.
I did, and it was.
Hang on! Stop everything, everybody! The next comment from Time Prophet. Can we have that up, please?
What, this one about the?
Not the next one. The next one. He said something else. The next one he said, "Look at that, everybody! I just want you to see that there is a fluffy, warm interior to the Time Prophet."
Yes, indeed, there is. There is.
Here he is, allowing himself to slightly enjoy something from a classic era that's actually been changed, but it's not
But
ruined
not
too
nice.
much. Yeah, so I just want to thank him for expressing the generosity of his spirit. He's managed to say something nice about something that wasn't completely authentic to Doctor Who in the first place, and I'm blown away. So well
there you
done,
go.
mate. I wasn't
I admit they did a good job.
Yeah, they did do a good job. And I think if you're going to watch any of the extra content from the DVD range, you can't miss that. I also think the updated Enlightenment is also too good to miss. If anyone's seen that one, they changed Enlightenment, they cut it down a bit, updated the special effects.
No.
It all looks fantastic. Well, I'm sure we'll get there when we get to the Davison era. So I recommend the DVD of David Dials and the DVD of Enlightenment, just for the extra specialness of the specials, but also because why would you not own both stories? I cannot understand. That it just covers us always there. And and then season 9 just didn't want to stop, because now next up it was Peladon. Curse of Peladon, the first Peladon story.
That story can be summed up with, dude, can you just ask Joe out already? You're clearly itching for it, but you just won't do it.
Oh, come on. If we took such ridiculously common sense approaches to solving story problems, we'd have missed an entire episode of running around and missing each other wistfully and just wishing we could be together and just sighing, thinking, Joe, oh Joe, oh Peladon, oh Peladon. But hey, you got to fill a story with a plot somehow, and it was a lot better than having an affair with Alpha Centauri. So,
oh god,
yeah,
trying
to be diplomatic with this one.
Mr. Tickle strikes again.
I like the concept, don't get me wrong, but again,
it's completely losing me to take this story seriously.
It's execution of it.
It's got great world building. Brian Hayes, great world building. He's not only building Peladon, he's also building on the Ice Warriors.
I love that they weren't evil.
Jack loves them. They weren't evil. There we go. And that Actorius, I thought it was dodgy from the start, frankly. Alpha Centauri, for all the laughing we've done about the costume, it actually is an iconic Doctor Who character.
Yeah.
And when they came back just briefly at the end of Empress of Mars, I had a fanboy moment. So
so
did
I.
That was nice.
I can't be so cynical, really, can I?
No.
Let's be honest. Peloton's lovely.
Yeah,
it's a nice
as
piece.
Political stories go, it was actually pretty fun to watch.
It is a fun political story.
It's enjoyable.
A nice piece of 70s drama with some excellent model work as well.
I was just going to say, actually, I think that bit where they're climbing up the mountain at the start's pretty well realised.
It is. It's some of Ian Scoon's best stuff.
As a kid, I never even noticed it as a set. I just thought...
He got the details into the models that made them convincing at scale. So it really was great work from a master craftsman from the BBC.
And I love Agador.
And we all love Agador. Yeah.
Everyone loves Agador.
And then more dash, more daring do, no time to stop, straight down the ocean for Portsmouth. It's for Sea Devils.
Sea Devils time.
And
Hilarious rip-off.
This is a very special story. This is a very special story because, Robots of Death, at Genesis of the Daleks, Sea Devils got omnibused. So it did turn up at random times during strikes during the 1970s, but suddenly the omnibus Sea Devils would suddenly show up. I definitely saw the omnibus Sea Devils.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten about the omnibus Robots of Death. I reminded myself about it, So it kind of I think you could say was an as a story was a bit of an ambassador for the show, because it's the sort of story that the BBC would present as a good example of a show. And
it was. I mean, the on-set locations really help.
Yeah.
You've got the action. You've got that brilliant sword fight. Every time when John stops to eat that sandwich, I just can't stop laughing. Every time it's so like,
I know. Yeah,
and then the sea devils coming out. The sea devils coming out. They see that iconic shot. Yeah, I think I can see why it's an ambassador.
People are responding to the Sea Devils right away. So Daco says the Sea Devils is good, but somewhat shallower than the Silurians, which I think is an ironic use of the word shallow.
Yes.
Because in actuality, physically it's somewhat deeper, but you're right. It's not. It is a retread with an action.
At least the Sea Devils have the decency.
It doesn't have the stakes at the end either.
No.
But it does have some lovely propellers. Well, didn't you hear that the BBC got into a lot of trouble with the Royal Navy over the Sea Devils? Because the Royal Navy sent the BBC Arts Department pictures of what their nuclear submarines look like, with some obviously Mickey Mouse propellers.
Yeah,
and they thought, no one will believe those propellers don't look real. So they put on some propellers that they thought looked real, and then the BBC, the MOD was ringing them up the next day, accusing them of being Russian spies or somewhat, trying to leak sensitive info through the TV show, sort of thing.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I think somebody was probably a little bit oversensitive, to be honest, because what is a propeller supposed to look like? It can't be that radical now, can it? But it did have some great undersea action, and the Navy's willingness to cooperate with the show, which made it look fantastic.
Yeah.
All the action sequences, and going out to sea, not just the stock footage, but to actually film footage for this, going out to sea with the Royal Navy. It was a tremendous example of cooperation. Don't think it ever happened on the scale again. It happened in the invasion. It happened with the Sea Devil. I don't think there was ever that much military cooperation with the show again, was there?
Yeah. Colin, no. I'm not touching that with a barge pole.
Good old sandy balls.
That's very much fun.
Well, that brings back some memories.
It easily happened. It could easily happen with seaside tennis.
Oh dear, man.
And now next up, the next two stories together, they seem to be a bit of a sump in Pertwee's era, because fans don't really like either of these stories very much. And the first was Bob Baker coming back with Dave to write The Mutants.
Oh, I needed therapy after this one.
That's it.
Come on, Jack. Come on. Let's hear it. What did The Mutants ever do to you? Come on, let's
existed.
It existed. What was so bad about it?
Well, the fact that the final stage of their evolution was a floating rainbow dude who just goes around and touches everything, and that makes everything okay.
And
not to mention that they're crawling through. There's a scene where they're crawling through what appears to be something inappropriate. I mean, come on, the effects people could not have not seen that.
You better get it. The concept is brilliant. I always think Bob Baker's concepts were so fantastic.
A little bit of inappropriate crawling and a marvelous glowing rainbow dude. I mean, what's not credible about that? That's how every sci-fi evolution story ends, isn't it?
It just needed the budget to realise.
What? Budget?
That was always
the thing. At this point in season 9, and not much chance of that. Got a cave and some pretty lights. Got to make the best of it.
I just want to say, I like Warriors of the Deep, and we will get to that.
Oh, Starry. Oh, Starry. You and I are going to be friends. I'm a complete Warriors fan. We will talk lovely things about Warriors of the Deep. I'll tell you what, no delay. Let's do it now. Why?
Straight
Why
to
do you like
Warriors of the Deep.
Again, it's a really good story. There's some really good character moments, especially with the Doctor. It's just let down by that middle bit.
I'm going to just completely agree with you. It is actually a really good story. It is a really well written story. And, you know, the ending, there should have been another way. It really hit me. You know, it really hit me. And I think in one of my little anecdotes I've done for this show, I mentioned how I, was scared of nuclear war as a boy in 1984, and wasn't half sure that it was all going to go off before I'd get to see Resurrection of the Daleks. So I suppose the ideas in Warriors of the Deep actually must have really had an impact on me. You know, because of course that's exactly what was happening at the end of that script. So it must have put, and maybe stuff in the news. Obviously, the idea of nuclear Armageddon and being afraid of it was in my mind. And if Doctor Who made me scared of nuclear war, well, great. That's a very sensible thing to make a child scared over. On top of which, I think the biggest problem Warriors of the Deep has is bloody lighting.
Yeah, it's not very.
And the Merca, okay. And the Ingrid Pitt fighting, that was just silly. So it did have things that let it down, but when if it's all said and done, if you think about it, if it was done today, if the Merca was a decent bit of CGI and so forth, the actual story did it well. Sadako says better Doctor Who stories have tackled the issue of nuclear war. I suppose that might be true. I mean, the Leisure Hive or the Armageddon Factor.
I think it was more that it was Davison's reactions. That clinched it for me as a kind of like a character study.
Because he's in real pain, isn't he?
Yes.
It is a decision that pains him terribly, but he sort of hates himself for.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bit of hypocrisy in it when you think about it, because they gas the Sea Devils, and they're all right to give the Silurians some oxygen masks, but stuff the Sea Devils, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
They're all out in the corridors, just like, where's my oxygen mask, you gits? But no, just save the Silurians. And he says, I wish there'd been another way. There was another way. Don't gas them.
Well, yeah, exactly. Just don't use the gas in the first place, guys.
Well, you may have put your finger on a couple of small points there. But,
you're not going to ruin it for us, Jack. You're not going to ruin it.
On the whole, though, I do like the story, and I find it a watchable part of the Davison era. I find it more watchable than the King's Demons.
Anything's more watchable than the King's Demons.
King's Demons, let's be honest.
But back to the 1970s, and what happened with the mutants? Well, I mean, I think the colonial stuff is a bit over-ham-fisted, but I do like the ideas in it. But I just think it deserves a little bit more love than it gets, and I think the Time Monster especially deserves more love than it gets. What do you feel about the Time Monster, Gobby?
It's one of those Doctor Who stories that doesn't get a lot of love, but no, you can never put your finger on why, because it's a good story. I mean, it's genuinely is a good story. I agree that it
is it if it's too over the top when it gets into Atlantis?
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's
all the ladders and Roman stuff. I really like. I like all the stuff around the ladder.
I agree with Jack. That's the bit I like most.
No, those women are so gorgeous in them gowns. Like...
Well, yeah, they are.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but it is a bit. It does go a bit
No, look, it has the first most punchably annoying feminist in the whole show. That
Oh, well, I
bloody
agree with that. I
lab
agree
coat
with that.
woman. I just wanted to punch her so many times.
Well, I can tell you what the Time Monster has, but no other Doctor Who story has.
Go on then.
A paper
Darth
mache.
Vader.
A Vader.
Darth Vader.
Does it?
David Prowse plays the
Yeah,
Minotaur.
David Price. Yes,
Oh,
he
of
does.
course
He's in
he
it.
does, yeah.
Yeah, he's in
So
there.
he's just in there.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have been improved
in
if
there,
Darth
yeah.
Vader had actually been in it?
I mean, how could you
In the
tell?
same way, the Time Warrior has what no other Doctor Who story has, because it has Boba Fett in it.
Yes, it does.
Wait, does it?
Yes. Oh, yes, it does. Yes.
he
How
played
the
in?
Archer
Yep.
is Boba Fett.
Oh, I'm mind blown now.
Wow.
You're
Wow.
gonna
So
rewatch
the
it now,
Darth
aren't you?
Vader's in the Time Monster and Boba Fett's in the Time Warrior. Yeah, all that is absolutely true. It's absolutely true. Yeah. And he was indeed the Green Cross Code man. You know,
See,
you
there
need to
wouldn't
think
be any Star Wars
very
without
carefully
Doctor Who.
before
Well,
you dare think about
just-
crossing that road.
Just a quick story. David Prowse, when I was little, came into our school as the Green Cross Code man.
Wow.
And he,
awesome.
are ready for this? And
Yeah.
he told us about The Empire Strikes Back being coming out before anyone else
Wow.
know. Yes, because
Well, of
obviously,
course, he would
some very
know.
small- some very small
Yeah.
kid named Dean put his hand up and said, "What about Star Wars? Because you're Darth Vader." And that's what he said. He actually went, "There's a new one coming out, and it's called The Empire Strikes Back."
Wow.
Is that
look
why he
at
got
that.
sacked? Because he broke his
Yeah.
NDA?
Yeah, that's probably.
Look at that.
They
Look at that.
heard that. Hold on a minute. He's just broke the news to a little sixth grader in Solihull. He's told them with a new film. Sack him. So, hold on a minute. Does that mean that's my fault?
Yeah.
Oh, not again. Not again.
Everything's your fault.
It's my fault.
Absolutely fantastic story. Absolutely fantastic story.
Well, claim to fame, I got Darth Vader sacked.
Yeah. You were the schoolboy who got spoilers out of Darth Vader, Gobby.
Yeah.
That's a claim to fame, that is.
It's a claim to
Absolutely,
fame.
that's a claim to fame.
Mind you, then again, I say that
some
he
sort
probably
of
said
badge
that.
for that.
He said that at every school he went to, and I bet you how much. See
I'm
how I'm
sure
trying to
he did.
deflect criticism. It wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Yeah, no, I love it, Gobby. I absolutely love it. But then okay. Well, once we escaped from the clutches of the Time Monster, then of course we're now into Doctor Who's first very special year.
Yes.
The 10th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
The Three Doctors.
The Three Doctors.
Oh, wait, just before we get into that, guys, it looks like Jack's got to go.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Jack.
That's
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
sorry,
absolutely fine.
guys.
No, don't
It's
worry,
been
mate.
lovely to be joined by you. Come and join us again next week.
Are you sure
Yeah.
you still want me?
Oh,
Yeah,
we love you.
Yeah.
We love you. Come on, mate.
Oh,
You
it's been a pleasure. It's been lovely
Yeah,
to meet you. Jack.
until I can find someone better to replace you, obviously.
Oh,
No, seriously.
That's what my mom said when she had me.
Oh, that's even worse.
oh, Jack.
Oh dear.
Oh, well, on that sad note.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I do actually love the Pertwee era. It's just I don't get the chance to see positive
your
things.
positivity levels are positively spiking. Absolutely.
They are. Absolutely.
I mean,
So
we do know the dinosaurs weren't up to scratch, but we can't have it all now, can we, Jack?
No, we can't have everything perfect.
Well, thanks for having me on, Gobby and John.
No worries,
and
mate.
Oh,
it was
it's
great
been
to
so
see you,
good.
Starry.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
we'll
privilege,
catch you
mate.
next
Pleasure
time.
to you too. I love
Yeah.
you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
So, yes, the Three Doctors. What do you love most about the Three Doctors, Gobby? Do you think it's the best of the anniversary shows?
You mean this one? The Three
Yeah,
Doctors?
the Three Doctors.
Yeah, I like this one. I really did like this one. I thought this was a great one. I prefer this over the Five Doctors. I'll be honest. I know, I'm sorry, but I do. It's a controversial statement, but I do.
No,
I
I
really
do
do.
get it. These are the icons. Yeah. And
This
this
is
has got
brilliant.
Hartnell, real Hartnell.
Yeah,
It's so
exactly.
sad that it wasn't, it
I
I
was
mean,
unwell.
I have got the Five Doctors, but I
Of
prefer
course
the
you
third.
have.
Yeah.
They just managed to do such a wonderful job with the Three Doctors.
Yes, it was. It was
I'm just
brilliant.
bringing all the different elements of the show together and making one big celebration of it. But I mean, I think we found it odd today that the anniversary episode was at the start of the year, not November.
Yeah,
You know, I do think we find that odd.
Yes.
But you know, Doctor Who hadn't quite gained the power to twist the BBC schedules to its whim at that point, obviously.
Well, yeah.
You know, but Omega and expanding the law of the Time Lords, you know, I mean, there's just there's nothing, everything good to say about it. I mean, the only negative that you could possibly have is it goes perhaps drops into a bit of a pantomime style at points.
Yeah,
You know,
a bit.
but it pulls
it
itself
does,
back
it does.
out, and it's just everyone's having a great time without trying to apologise for it all too much. And then now I'm back in 1981, and you know, fresh from the Crotons the week before. It's Carnival of Monsters.
Mm.
See,
this was
like
also
this,
part
and
of
I
the
don't
Five
like
Faces.
Yeah, it's a marmot. It has bits and bobs in it in this show.
It starts good.
It's all right, and then
it really there's some padding in that. But the premise is good. I love the scenes on the ship where our first peek at Harry Sullivan.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed I love going back and spotting all the actors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think anything, on the planet really drags. Anything where, the inside, of course, I'm blanking on what it's called.
Ursa Minor, I think it's called.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
you know, it's a shame. I mean, I kind of know what you mean. The stuff on the planet is dated so much worse than all the other scenes, all the other settings. But inside the miniscope itself works brilliantly, or traveling around corridors. And, you know, the story just does wonderful, clever things messing with the audience's head. Because at first they're kind of thinking, is this a time travel story? Have they gone back in time, or is someone bringing a sea monster forward? You know, and then you find out that they're all, you know, the whole thing is another head flip, and they're all really, really little, you know. So it was really good at blowing the audience's noggin. And then the Drashigs were a massive visual effects success. But I mean, it goes to show you the difference between a visual effects success and a visual effects failure, because there's nothing necessarily that special about the Drashigs themselves, but it's because the model worked, because the effect worked. You know, they became much more exciting than other monsters whose effects were less satisfactory. You know, so I think there was an element of good fortune that blessed Carnival of Monsters, but it's undoubtedly one of the better virtual stories, and it's one of the better 1970s scripts.
Yeah,
I think so. You know, there's a lot to say for it, but I agree the stuff on the planet just doesn't quite work like it should. But I do like a bit where the Drashigs pour out and eat all the bureaucrats.
Oh yeah,
that does appeal to me. That does appeal to me. And so, you know, another very strong entry into an increasingly strong season. But when totally just stepped up and went frontier in space.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think the Draconians are a race that have been crying out to return in New Who, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really strange that they haven't.
They were crying out for a return in Classic.
Yes.
All along. You're surprised they never made a return, really. Because they were certainly were very agreeable alien race to do a return with. And yes, he does. Yeah, I mean, yeah, one of the little grey men, Callie, is actually Davros.
I just wonder who I wish. I wonder who has more, because the other name that always seems to pop up is Philip Maddock. He's in everything.
Michael Wish has been in more episodes than Philip Maddock. Philip Maddock's been in the War Games. He was the War Chief. Crotons, of course. First,
yes.
Get it right, John. Yes, get it right. Brain and Morbius and Power Kroll. Those were his appearances. So he couldn't have managed.
Even more.
So they can't. He can't. He's got no. He's got no chance of getting near 36. Yeah.
No.
And I mean, well, really, you know, season 10 gave us a 12-parter, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and gripping what it is too. And I quite often, but I'm sure they have featured in Big Finish and the novels. You know,
yeah,
they'd be mad not to. Of course, they have.
But it'd be nice to see them on screen again, and just a classic monster. You're listening, Russell?
Yeah,
a classic monster that isn't Daleks, Cybermen, Ice Warriors.
Well, you know, I think, you know, Star Trek does quite well when it has aliens which, you know, could be allies, could be enemies.
Yeah.
You know, I think they make them more interesting. They make them more interesting cultures. You know, and I think the Draconians would fit well in that sort of spot for Doctor Who.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
You know, so they definitely got huge potential for showing up again one day. And then the Daleks' greatest hits, as some people call Planet of the Daleks.
Planet of the Daleks,
because it does borrow an awful lot of all the good bits from other Dalek stories.
It certainly does.
You know, really lots of it, and but it throws it all together, and then it's just having such good fun.
It's just always a pleasure to see John Pertwee face off with the Daleks.
Well, yeah,
absolutely.
Any excuse,
any old excuse, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, because it is good. It is as Disaster Area said, right? It was Pertwee's favourite aliens. He really was, and you could see that. You could see that quite clearly that he really enjoyed butting heads, so to speak, with the Daleks. It was.
I want to go back to the Target novels here, because the cover for Planet of the Daleks was simple genius. Was such an attractive cover. I mean, that one just sucked me right in. I've left Gobby totally overprepared. I'm talking about covers. I haven't sent him a picture of its show or anything. So you know, you have to.
Don't worry,
but you know, I know you know the cover in your mind that I'm talking about. You know, it's a beautiful piece of
beautiful cover.
Absolutely
awesome bit of art.
Yes, and you know, I think Planet of the Daleks, the book, is a very agreeable read. Planet of the Daleks, the story, is a very agreeable watch. It's not big on originality. You know, overall, you know, Terry liked his themes. And he deserved having his bottom kicked a bit to make him produce something a bit better, you know, for Genesis 2 years later. But, you know, all the same, just a fantastic story from a fantastic season. Well, I know that some people really get into the Planet of the Dalek rewatches. They just get the epicness of it all.
Oh, they're just so fun. You know, if you're feeling down, you're feeling fed up, you know, that's a perfect one to put on.
And then endings, season 10 ending so well with the Green Death.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Just Julie. It's so just Pertwee not saying a line. I know I'm doing a Mega Geek now where I'm going straight.
Oh, geek on.
But yeah, it's just a devastating ending. A very good ending. Don't get me wrong, but just, you know,
the best emotional ending the show had written up to that point, arguably. Yeah. I mean, the Ian and Barbara departure, I think, had a bit of attention and care put to it. To perhaps would match Joe Grant's departure, but it does. Sadako Green Death really does hold up. It really does hold up. Yeah, I watched it last week because I talked about that with the Boss Computer last week's part, or was that yesterday even? No, it was last week. We were talking about War Machines and the Boss Computer because I had just watched it then. It's got to be any Doctor Who fans collection. I also think Green Death is one of the most accessible classic stories to bring a more modern Who fan into classic.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
You know, it's gentle, and you know, mind you, there were supposed to be a lot more flying ones at the end, so we only got one because of the budget. But then they were chucking bullcocks out of helicopters, putting them with bombs. So all sorts of fun things happened, you know, back then. Yes, Prentice Hancock, absolutely it does. Is in Planet of the Daleks. You're quite right. That's also made a big plus.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
and then the turn of a wheel, because now it's time for the Time Warrior.
The Time Warrior.
I really love this. This is another one where I think the modern series hasn't quite done the Centaurians justice. There were
No.
a lot of discrepancies from me watching the RTD Centaurians and to watching this one. Completely different.
Yeah.
Love what's it? Links.
Links,
That's what it's
yes.
called. Yeah,
Yeah,
Links.
Links.
Just all the the setup. Sarah Jane sneaking into the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Doing what she does. I mean, again, Sarah. We know she's this investigative journalist. And 70s she did. They did the show not tell. So much of current day stuff is to just tell. Sarah Jane, she's this brilliant journalist. She does this. She's won these awards. She's plucky. She's brave. She's independent.
Let's give it up. Let's give it up for Liz Sladen right from the start. Because she had a tough job to do. As I think it might be Arch or noted. Joe Grant was the companion for 3 years. The public was very used to her.
Yeah, well, she was
probably
beloved.
quite upset Marie that she'd gone. And Liz Sladen had to come straight in, and doesn't she put her mark on her character right away? I mean, it is ecology done right. She makes herself just completely compelling, in her scenes, and you just know that this is the start of something really special. And as indeed it would be. It's a wonderful story, a key story in Doctor Who history, a story where the team was really doing so well at its best, and as previously mentioned, a story with Boba Fett in it. So and Doc Cotton. So the full range, the full range. Really good science fiction, good use of time travel. A lovely piece of Doctor Who. Really
yes,
is.
absolutely wonderful.
And then after that, well, we've already talked about this too, but it's too late. Jack's gone.
Jack's gone now. We're on to the
Invasion of the Dinosaurs. Yes, just when you think he might have had something to say.
Yeah.
about the high quality of the show's top quality special effects. Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. But again, great story. Apart from who would take those numpties to the promised land, I can't get past that. But that's just me. And then quite a bit of a controversial story, actually, especially for Dalek lovers. Death to the Daleks. Is it a good story or a bad story?
I don't think it's bad. I just think it's a bit meh. Because it's the third, Dalek story in this era. At this point, I just feel we're getting close to scraping the barrel here.
The barrel's kind of scraped. Yeah, I like the new Dalek colour scheme. The silver always works with Dalek.
Yeah.
I think that replacing ray guns with physical guns was an interesting idea. Apart from it quickly turned out to be, just pointing out, it's kind of like it didn't really give you a chance to change the dynamic with Daleks because they were just as effective as a machine gun.
Well, yeah.
I think it was one of the things where let's try to look cool on screen.
Yeah, the worst part of Death to the Daleks, without a doubt, the worst part is the Dalek discovering that Sarah's escaped with the drug in the sack. And it's like, I have failed, blah, 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 I have failed, suicide. And like, A, it goes on for way too long, goes on like a minute.
Yeah.
But B, suicide Daleks for failing like that, it's always just seemed really silly and really undermined them.
Yeah,
so
it was.
That's not good. But
no.
but on the other hand, the Daleks versus the probe stuff, that's all quite good.
That's
And when the Daleks do get on top again, they don't hold back.
No, they definitely don't hold back.
You can't say the Dalek character's not there, but they just doing some weird, silly things with them in a
Yeah, I mean,
script
the
that did
suicide thing.
undermine them. Yeah, using a model TARDIS for target swaps is so
Yeah, it was
silly.
Yeah.
stupid.
But
It
it's
was.
the personal touch that shows they care, Matt. You know.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah.
Bella was great. Bella was a great character, actually, wasn't he? But the
Yeah,
Lex
Bella was.
creaking
Yeah,
around the
it
rocks.
was.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, Route 1 Dalek
One
Nil.
Dalek
It's
Nil.
got it's very good quotable stuff in it. It can't be too bad a story, but the portrayal of the Daleks in it in a couple of places, it would just be so
Yeah,
much
it was a
better.
bit.
Which
Yeah.
just didn't happen.
No.
It would just help the story if those things didn't happen. They'd be better off for it. But a great story.
That was a great story.
And you know what, gang? We are coming close to the end.
We are. We're getting there. Two to go.
Yeah.
2 to go.
Now it's the return of the tentacle sex monster. Sorry, Alpha Centauri.
Tentacle sex monster.
In the monster of Peladon.
The monster of Peladon, indeed. Oh, it was all right. It's all right.
I
We
prefer-
are at that point.
I prefer the,
Yeah.
the other, yeah.
Look,
It was getting
there
there.
is one thing that I'm going to say about Monster of Peladon, but I'm not going to resist saying because it needs saying so badly. You know, Doctor Who does Brexit. Yeah, Doctor Who does Brexit.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Because as the original Peladon story was a parable in favour of joining the EU, so Monster of Peladon is a parable in favour of leaving it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we actually, yes, we had politics in 1970s stories, but we had this thing called political balance.
Yeah.
Oh, shh.
Balance.
Whoa, but
balance.
I can exclusively reveal, you see, but it was the insidious planting of the ideas in Monster of Peladon that brought me out as a Brexiteer in later life. So if I hadn't have seen Monster of Peladon as a young boy, Britain could still be a member of the European Union at this very moment. That's how influential this story has been.
I'll say this for it. It was still better written than. Yes, it was political.
On top of which, you're not going to find Peladon refusing to use its own coal.
Well, no,
not with that many torches to keep lit 24/7.
But
and of course, cuddly Agador all over again.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. This is the argument that the point you can use with the argument with when they go about, the show's always been political. Yes, it has, but it's been done in classic Who. It was done very well, very subtly, and it got the message across without.
Well, again, it was the balance. It was we're going to do it. We're going to do it from this side, but we're also going to do it
from the other side.
From this side.
Yeah. And that's how it should be done. That's how all things like this should be done. It should be given in the two sides of the argument, not one side, which is obviously reflective of society.
There was this funny time where they had this weird idea, but you just give people information and let them do their own thing.
Make their own mind up. Yeah,
unique.
What a groundbreaking idea.
It's a strange approach looked at through modern eyes, but it definitely had its pluses. It definitely had its pluses.
Oh, it always has had its pluses.
I mean, I would have to agree, but it's hard to really sort of pick anything out extraordinary story-wise.
No,
with Monster of Peladon. Apart from it's just nice to see the Ice Warriors being villains again.
Yes,
because they do it so well.
They are,
and I wish we had seen them again in classic. Mission to Magnus was supposed to be an Ice Warriors story, wasn't it, from season 23?
But it didn't.
So it didn't happen. No, it's a shame. It's a shame
because the Ice Warriors.
And it's a shame that New Who hasn't really managed to do it for them either yet.
Yes.
I'm sure Russell will correct that. I have a feeling that the Ice Warriors are just too good a potential race not to use.
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose it did. And then we've tumbled all the way down the bottom of the time vortex, and now we are at
the
planet of the spiders. Yes.
Oh, I love this one.
Now, Gobby, you're a little older than me.
Only a little bit, mate.
Do you remember anything about the transition from John Pertwee to Tom Baker? Did it register with you at the time?
Well, no, because for me, my actual introduction to Doctor Who was Tom
Much
Baker.
later. Yes, was Tom Baker. Yeah.
So the Pertwee era. Now I'm sort of caught up with it. It initially it was just it didn't make any sense, but then
yeah.
now, yeah. To be honest, it's difficult because, as I said, I jumped in on Tom Baker. That's where my dad said, "Look, son, there's this TV program that just like he did with Star Trek and everything else. Sat me down, watch this.
Watch out. Yeah, it made you shut up and sit down long enough to pay attention, Gobby. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Some boys need that from their fathers. Shut up, sit down, watch.
Yeah, sit down. And enjoy. You will enjoy this while
you will enjoy. Yes, you will enjoy. Yeah.
My dad used to do that as well. It'd be, you'll enjoy this. Come on.
You will like this. I'm just now. Be quiet. I've got to do me spot the ball, and me pulls.
Bulls, yeah.
But no, but now the thing is, I have a problem because I like John Pertwee, but it's always going to be Tom Baker for me. So you're going to get that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can follow where you're coming from. I really completely follow where you're coming from. I mean.
Sorry, look, here's my little. That was the injury.
Yeah.
No chewing it. Yeah.
That's all I do. This radar.
Yeah, I know. No chewing it. I'm so unhappy, Dad. But look, I'd only mess it up if you took it off.
Hold on a second. I'll just be back in a second because the dog won't go back in unless I tell it to go back in. So okay. I'll be back in.
Do the dog.
I'm going to go do the dog. Oh no, that sounded awful.
Yeah, I forgot he was still on there.
Dear.
What was interesting for me watching this regeneration was the Brigadier is like an old hat at it by this point, and again, you get that brilliant line. Here we go again. Yeah. I'd been used to having to have, regeneration explained because the Ninth Doctor, he basically spells it out to Rose.
Yeah.
And again, and then the other companions haven't got a clue what's going on. But this one we did, and the Brigadier's just kind of like, yeah, this is gonna happen again. And it's Sarah who's like, oh no, he's dead. And I don't know what's gonna happen. And that was the abridged version.
Yeah.
But it'll work.
And Brigadier's just like, no, it's fine. We'll just put this pillow under his head.
I think Planet of the Spiders is a great example to give the Doctor a real epic odyssey.
Yes.
To go on.
Yes.
It's also full of self-indulgence to John Pertwee. The entire episode was just chasing stuff around madly while running over tramps. I mean, you don't need that episode, but on the other hand, if you don't watch it, you miss so much fun.
We do.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then the story with the Buddhism and Barry Letts bringing his stuff into that. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the story at all. The story's great. But I think there is a little bit of a fan fiction, or maybe it was something that was in one of the New Adventures, that the Doctor gets lost in the time vortex on the way from Metropolis 3 back to the unit HQ, and actually spends a long time dying that death, and it's meant to be somewhat horrible, but much more grueling than you realise in the TV show. And I kind of always keep that idea because I think that he did pay a high price.
Yes.
For messing about with the Metropolis 3. And I think that was teaching the kids a moral lesson. Because at the end of the day, he did steal it, didn't he?
Yeah.
It didn't do him no good.
No.
Didn't do him no good. So I think there's a bit of a deliberate moral lesson in that. The last appearance of a human being, I'm not surprised really. It was a good appearance, and that was fine. We did get to see Bessie again. Yeah, we get to see Bessie again in Robot too.
Yes, we do for a little bit.
It was just a great ending to an era and the starting of a new one. And it was also just about the time I was really starting to become aware of the show, because I remember being terrified of spiders being bounced on my mum's knee. I do clearly remember all of that. And you know,
at the scene when and it's on Sarah's back. Oh, there is something so creepy about that. Yeah.
It's a spider, for God's sake. Ugh.
Oh,
just
played so well as well.
Yeah.
Just so brilliant to revisit all the Pertwee stories in my mind. I mean, you could bet I've been watching a really good number of these because they're all really important to me. I think Mind of Evil has got to be watched again. I can't let that one drop.
No.
So that one's definitely on the list. But I've been hitting the Pertwee pretty heavy already. Yeah, can I squeeze in one more Inferno? Yeah, maybe I could do one too.
Yeah, I'm sure you
can. And I just love it. I just love the era, and now we're coming into an era where Tom Baker era coming up. It's so rich. I reckon we've probably got two. I don't even think we should try and do Tom Baker in one session.
I think it's going to be impossible.
I think squeezing in. I think if we kind of do the Hinchcliffe era in the first year of Williams, and then pick up from the key to time for the next one, we just kind of cover that stretch, because there's a lot of things I remember growing up, especially about that part of Doctor Who's. It's really got the richness of the childhood memories for me, because for the most part, half of Pertwee's era I wasn't born yet, and the other half I was growing up, so it didn't have a bigger impact on me as what's come before, although I do kind of put Pertwee number 2, Tom number 3 on my list. But I'm a heretic, so I've got Pat Troughton at the top. So
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. I'm used to that. Do you have a little listing, Starry?
Well, it kind of changes all the time.
As it should. As it should.
Because everything's so fluid, and I rediscover things.
Who is top of your list right now?
At the moment, it would be Tom. I don't think that's. But I do get about Troughton, because if you think about it, if Troughton hadn't have been as good as he was, that would have been it. As much as we love Hartnell and he got the ball rolling, it was Troughton that carried it on, and it could have just been a one-hit wonder.
Well, Pat grew the show. Pat grew the show into a form where it could survive. Pat was given the opportunity and made absolutely everything of it. Pat Troughton is a hero.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just wonderful, man. Just a wonderful man. And,
brilliant actor.
And so is Tom Baker. Who's it's such a huge influence on my life. It's ridiculous. And Sadako says the end of time, Invasion of Time, be a good endpoint for Tom Baker Part 1. And that's what we're going to do anyway, because that's the end of the first Williams era. But exactly, great minds think alike.
Absolutely.
And just so good to take that trip back to the good old Diamond logo days and Saturday tea time, and
where it should be.
So important. Just so important. And we've had somebody to talk about all the stories, and that's really cool. So I think time to say next week.
Yes, absolutely.
Isn't it? But if we're doing Tom Baker, perhaps, and then it's number 1 on Starry's list, perhaps we might get Starry to come back and join us again.
Well, I would love to, yes.
Well, we'll just call that. We'll call that the deal. Yes.
Not talk about Tom Baker stuff.
Yeah, no, we can't. Can't take that away from her now. She's so close. So Starry, we'll see you again next week as well. Yes. And thank you so much, chat, and thank you for being with us and for enjoying, sharing why we love Doctor Who once again.
Yes,
and, onwards to the next part.
Yes, Tom Baker. Well, it now becomes Tom Baker Part 1.
Yeah, probably Tom Baker Part 1. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, already really looking forward to that. So, right then. So, should we bring it all to a close?
Please do, Gobby. Yes, do the honours.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Starry, for popping in.
And look forward to having me.
Oh, well, I haven't had you yet, but you know what I mean. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. But no, it's been great to have you on, and thanks to Jack, even though he's had to go, which is for doing what Jack does best, which is throwing the cat amongst the pigeons. which is probably the best way I could put it.
But this is the bit. This is the best thing about fan. This is how it should be. This makes me think of us, being sat in a pub somewhere.
This is how it should be.
Yeah,
this is
fans chewing the fat about the show. Absolutely,
and just having a laugh and a joke and not taking it that seriously. Like it does at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, pulling each other's leg a bit, perhaps, but not cruelly,
No, not cruelly.
Yeah, not cruelly, and just having fun.
We have to thank John for coming on to, which is technically, this is his stream, not really mine. So
yeah, it's just kind of over, isn't it?
It is. It's John's stream, really, and that's and it's. As I said before, it's an honour to be able to host these for you, mate.
I'm very grateful to have a chance to do one more thing with the Doctor Who community.
Exactly, it's great.
I know that my message is being heard.
It is. It is. Absolutely.
And I know, obviously some people are quite upset about what's happened to me, especially some of my family.
Yes.
And look, I'm upset too.
Well, obviously.
But it's like I said to my sister, I haven't actually had a big cry about it all, because I don't know if I started to cry about it or I started to get angry about it. Where would I stop?
Yeah,
that's the problem. So I said to her, that if she has a little cry about it on her own, she's being strong for me because I'm being strong. You know how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Matt, perfectly all right, because actually she's having the cry I can't have. And I suppose it's the same for everybody here. If you're been really upset, been really saddened by the news that I must leave you all in the not too distant future, I really, really appreciate that. Yeah. Because in some ways you guys are expressing what I can't express, because I have to focus on meeting all of this horrible situation as well as I possibly can.
Amen.
And Time Prophet asked, John, can I sue the NHS? If only it was that easy.
Yes, indeed.
I'm afraid that the NHS is well known as being very difficult to obtain restitution from.
Yeah.
Teflon, to say the
indeed.
least. So that wouldn't even be something that could be thought about unless at some point in the future there's a significantly compelling body of evidence that there was negligence or wrongdoing or something like that.
And even that would be difficult.
I'm afraid I can't see into the future to know if that will ever be the case. But I wouldn't have my son waste his money.
Yeah.
Otherwise. But the truth is out there and people know it, and people like Starry listening to my interview yesterday, it means so much to me, because that is my chance to tell my story. And I just know in my bones that that's going to carry on doing good for years and years to come. But I stood up and I told the truth, and I told the world things about myself that I would never have told the world if I wasn't dying.
Exactly.
Because a lot of things about my life I keep private, including my health and my mental health or physical health. I'm not somebody who's ever splurted these things everywhere. But anyway, we're coming off the point a little bit. Back to next week, Tom Baker.
Yes, Tom Baker next week.
And because we're not done yet.
No,
I swore to do at least 4 of these, and we're going to have to do 5, really, aren't we? Because we're now in Tom Baker Part 2.
Yes,
so it's going to have to be at least 5. I look forward to it. Oh, bless you, disaster area. Well, look, you've got to keep smiling.
Yep.
Even more so in difficult times. Mm-hmm. It's easy to smile in good times, but it matters most when it's difficult times, because you're going to need that beam of sunshine to haul yourself out of the pit one day. So just keep it up, keep your spirits
absolutely
up.
Well, we can end on that famous Pertwee quote, which I think is very apt to courage isn't about being not afraid.
Yeah,
it's about being afraid and doing what you have to do anyway. I completely mangled that.
The sentiment was perfect. The sentiment was perfect. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yep.
That is a wonderful recipe to succeed in life.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's a wonderful thought to end with.
It
So,
certainly
I
is.
can say goodbye to everybody, and it's been so nice to be joined by Starry and of
It
course Jack
has.
before we have to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great to be with you again, Gobby. Great to be with everybody. See you all next week.
See you all next week, and same time, same place. And thanks very much for watching. Goodbye now.
Take care. Bye.